Good morning. I hope you're all having a good day wherever you are. I shared about my job testimony in the last video, and I know we are all in waiting seasons wherever we are. Maybe jobs, children, spouses, partners, um, homes, even just food, basic needs like you're always living from hand to mouth. Anything you might be waiting on God for. And we've read a lot from the guest blogs about God is faithful, how some of the women waited and God saw them through and they received what they were waiting for. Some are still waiting for several things they're trusting God for. Uh, Today, I wanted to just do a part B of my own experience because a lot of people say, not even a lot of people, that's even what God's word says that keep on trusting, be still, and know that He's God, He's faithful, He will provide. But then when you are deep down in that need, it's very difficult to remember all those verses and try to put them you know, into use or into action because that time you're actually in despair, and that actually happened to me. So for the 2 years I was waiting, I was not waiting in faith, even though I incorporated some faith, mustard seed faith, actions. It was not all rosy. The first year I was wondering, when is this gonna happen? Is it gonna come? When is it gonna come? Are we gonna survive? Are we gonna make it? But the last 6 months into the 2 years, so after 1.5 years of just, you know, hopelessness mixed with faith, mixed with again worry, all that, I, decided to, while I wait, I will not wait in worry. I will wait in worship, kind of, like I will wait in God. And I just wrote a few things down that helped me during that time. I've shared this before, but I'll just do this again to kind of close my job testimony. Um, so, yeah, I just wanted to encourage us not to lose hope again. We've had this so many times. Look at the place you are in, the season you are in. It might be a sad time, a grief or lack, everything, but grab everything you can. I know it's very difficult to grab as you're in that season, but later on, trust me, when after you've reached the mountain, if you look back, there's always something you've grabbed along the way, unknowingly or knowingly. It's like maybe patience, maybe some characters of you had to be changed, or maybe you discovered God's character that you had never discovered before. Because we might think that we have grabbed God, that we know Him, but He, reveals Himself daily to us, daily and per situation, per experience. So, like me, during the cleaning time, the last families I cleaned for actually helped me very much in the job because all of them were like experts in their own fields, statisticians, those who helped me with my thesis, not thesis, my CV, so you grab whatever you can in that season. So, in the moments of waiting, here are some lessons that guided me, but will also guide you. God knows your struggle. So instead of worry, let us partake acting in faith. You might do it in your own way, but just try to act in faith. He can do everything we want Him to do. When we mention, even before we mention it, He can do it. But He allows us to act in faith so that we can be a participant in the receiving of the miracles that He has promised us. So He wants us to partake, and that's why He wants us to ask. He wants us to open our lips and ask of Him. In your waiting season, just know that you are just in like a lo and behold moment, because you're in this valley. By the time you reach up here, so you're wherever you are, you're just about to hit, the miracle. That about, it's only God who knows that distance. Could be a day, could be a year, could be 2 years, but it's still a lo and behold moment. So, and anything can happen at this time. God has purposely planted you in that situation so that He can reveal His power for us to learn many things. We should eagerly not rush to pass this season. Like, oh, I just want this. Of course, it's painful, or you're lacking, but don't eagerly just wait to pass it. See what's happening in that season. See what's the character of God that is being revealed during that time. He will change the situation in due time, at his own time. Because in Luke 24 verses 13 to 16, when Cleopas and the other guy who we are not told his name, they kept on talking about the situation that had happened. So Jesus, the crucifixion, and Jesus' death. Oh, they're talking about it. Oh, all the negative. Oh, and this has happened and this has happened. But most of the time we act like that. When someone asks you, oh, so Nelly, how's the job search going? Oh, this joblessness. Oh my goodness. And oh yeah, and this job. Maybe you're hoping to change jobs, and the job you are in is not good, or it's negative. Oh, and this job. Oh, and this marriage. Oh, and this children. Oh, like you keep on glorifying the ashes, and the bad things that are happening. We do not, it's not good to say my, oh, and this my sickness, oh, and this my sickness, and this, it's not yours. It's a season you are in. So don't take ownership of things that are not promised from God, because he says he's gonna give us beauty for our ashes. And even in Isaiah 61:3, to those who have sorrow in Zion, I'll give them a crown of beauty instead of ashes. I'll give them the oil of joy instead of sorrow, and the spirit of praise instead of a spirit of no hope. Then they will be called oaks that are right with God, planted by the Lord, that he may be honored. Let us try to find God in those seasons we are in. Just like Luke 24 again, verse 15 and 16, just after Cleopas and the guy were talking. Jesus himself came up and walked among them, but they were kept from recognizing him. So it's a disaster when we rush to when we are really eager to rush these seasons, and we actually miss God while he was there. So we're actually saying, oh, reveal yourself to us, reveal yourself to me, show me your face, God. But in that moment, you're just covered with your grief. You're just covered with your sadness. I'm not saying it's wrong, but there's a moment to be covered in your grief, but not let that grief not engulf you, so that you're in it. You can have a moment of grief. We all do. Or a moment of sadness, or, whatever it is, whatever thing that is happening. Let us not have it engulf us, so that when someone sees you, they just see that thing. Sometimes we need to be let us not glorify the ashes. That's what I wanted to say, because we might be asking God to reveal himself, but he's actually in that season. So like just Cleopas and the guy, he walked among them, but they were kept from recognizing him because of them talking about the things that had happened. So let's not rush to miss him in the seasons we are in. And we need to practice active waiting. Like Exodus 14, we all know this verse, do not be afraid, stand firm, and you will see the deliverance, which is the salvation of God that he will bring you today. The Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. It does not say you need to be sleeping or hypnotized and then you will wake up. And this season that you've been waiting for, this miracle this promised miracle that you've been waiting for is now, it's right there. No, it's be still, and then you will see, you'll see the salvation that God will bring for you. So it's being still, but actually be in the season. You're still, that means your heart is not filled with worry and all that, but it's still knowing that God will take care of you. But actually you're actually watching. You're actually like, okay, in this season I am in, these are the lessons, or this is the pain that I have, I'm giving it to God. These are the lamentations I have, I'm giving it to God. So every emotion, you're aware of every emotion and giving it to God. So not being just dozing off in that season, like let it pass quickly. No. And then, because just before the situation changes for the better, we need to open our eyes and see, because when we are eagerly rushing to pass the situation, things might be happening, but God must be, not even must be. He's showing us things that are happening. He's bringing people during that season that are bringing small promises, small encouragements that are actually building up to the big promise. So we need to open our eyes and see what it is and how it's changing. Because in Genesis 28 verse 16, when Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord must have been in this place. And I wasn't aware of this, of him being here. And even in my time of waiting, there are moments when the first 1.5 years that I spent in worry and all that, there are moments I clearly see that God was there. But of course, I actually missed him. So I actually, instead of enjoying that moment then, they came later on, because God's promises are never, it's never like it's gone. It just delayed, So those moments came later on, but I should have enjoyed them at that time that I was filled in worry. So we need to still be still, but also silence. There's power in silence. We can't go on, oh, and this sickness, oh, my sickness, oh, and this job, oh, and my, oh, we claim all these things that we are lacking or in the waiting season, because the guys, they kept on talking and discussing. There's power in silence. They've just lost Jesus. There's power in silence, and just you can be groaning or mourning, but in silence also, just to numb all the noises that are outside, because not every noise is for us. There's so many noises that are discouraging, but the guys kept on talking, and that's where they missed him. He was walking out. He walked among them. Because we keep on glorifying the ashes, like we've seen the dry bones. We keep on talking, oh, these dry bones, oh, they're very dry, oh, these dry bones. It's good to see the dry bones, but don't focus on the dry bones and keep on glorifying them. It's like giving them power because, they're dry and really going for it, saying that how dry they are, kind of glorifying the dry bones. So they missed Christ. So we also love to talk about things that did not work, because our human eyes, they see that nothing is actually happening. But God's perspective, he's working behind the scenes. For us, we see nothing that is happening. So let us not glorify the dry bones or the harvest that has gone bad. Even Simon was glorifying the fishing that went negative, because he did not catch anything. And when Jesus came to him, and he's a professional fisherman. So even us, sometimes we might be experts in our fields or experts in the things that we're also waiting God for God for. And when we come to pray, you're like, yeah, God, like my case, my CV was, according to me, I mean, I've seen people's CVs that are impressive, but according to me, it was good. So I saw those jobs and I was like, I'm going to get this one. So when I pray, when you pray, you're also praying with control, because you're like, oh, my CV is also at par with the job in post. So like Simon, he's like, yeah, and I've been here all night and I did not catch anything. Like he's already telling Jesus, like, you know what, I've put everything that I can according to my expertise, but I still did not catch anything. So nothing surprises him, just like Simon's case. He can see that the things we have done well in the past and we are trusting him for, that they have gone wrong, it doesn't surprise him. And it is about us discovering. So it doesn't surprise him, but it is about us discovering what, his powers, because he actually doesn't reveal everything to us. Every day we discover him in a new way. Whether it's he healed me yesterday, he's going to heal me today, but it's all different experience. So he is God. So while you're talking and repeating about the negative results, his response is like, hey, Nelly, can you hear me now? When you keep on explaining, oh, and I put the fishnet and I did this and this and it did not go well. He's like, shh, be still. Can you hear me now? Let me grab your attention. I need your attention because you've gone too deep in talking about the things that have gone wrong. Look, I am in this season with you now. So we might ask ourselves, how possibly can we, can I walk with God and still hear him, and I can't hear him, or I can hear him. It's the same as the navigation system. When you, I've not been driving for so long, but I know that when you using a GPS, it's also by walking. It's also driving by faith, actually. And that's how God also works. It's by faith and not by sight. You just trust that the GPS has the right direction, like it's connected to the main platform, which knows all the directions. So for you to hear the GPS, you need to turn off all the noises, especially if you're going to a new direction, which is a new season that you're actually waiting for. You need to turn all the noises, from people discouraging, or even from people praising and encouraging you. Sometimes you just need to hear them, but also numb them, so that you have your own moment to hear from God, so that their message is like a confirmation to what He has told you, or He hasn't told you. So even Jesus Himself, He loved escaping, to be alone with God, and to listen Him, and to listen and to know His voice. So you just need to start walking, just like a GPS. You cannot, if I leave my house now and I put the GPS on, I have to start actually driving for the GPS to actually continue connecting the road, and connecting the route, and also updating it as I drive. If I remain standing at my house at the front door, it won't do anything, and that's with God. We have to keep walking in faith, keep trusting as we keep moving, and waiting in the waiting. So it's active waiting, active waiting. So like if you're going 100 kilometers, you put it on, and it doesn't just start saying, it will say drive for 100 kilometers straight. It won't say every 1 kilometer, okay, drive 1 kilometer. Okay, why drive 1 kilometer? Oh, you're driving 1 kilometer. Let's go 1 kilometer. Straight. No, it will just show you, but then it will not say anything. Maybe after 30 kilometers, it will say, yes, keep driving straight. And then after another 30, keep driving straight. Like there's always these moments, junctions of reminder, So in the moments of silence, when the GPS is not actually saying anything, it doesn't mean like, oh, now I have to go left. No, the GPS is still there with you, guiding you to the straight road. And that's actually just the same with God. He's there with you. Also, this example, one time I just realized it with the rice cooker or the crock pot. You put it on, and you know that the rice cooks in 10 minutes, or your crock pot dish, it cooks in 4 hours or whatever. So let's do rice. So 10 minutes. I'm not going to go to the rice cooker in every 1 minute to check it. No, at 9 minutes, 9:8ish, I will go and check. Oh, let's see, maybe it's ready before time, or I need to add some water, So it's the same as when we have the promise and what God has told us, like just like Luke, when Mary said, blessed is she who has believed what the Lord has told her. So you believe what has been spoken to you, and you go with it. So you run with it, just like we shared in the previous video. So you just keep on serving, keep on being faithful, keep on waiting. You might be lamenting, but keep on at least going straight in faith, because be sure that He will speak. He will speak at the right junction, because that junction, He knows you might be easily swayed to the left. So He will speak. He will speak at those crucial moments in your life. So in being still, He wants us to still hear the inner voice, with the inner ear. Especially during calamity, this is when really our focus should be inside, discerning what He's really saying. So we put everything that weighs us aside. That means spending time with Him, learning His voice, to really discern His voice. Because if you spend time, it's like my small baby, I might not be in the room, but you just speak, and they know your voice, because, yeah, you're always with them. It's just the same with God. Every time we spend time with Him, we know if He's the one speaking, even through people. So the question is, are we sensitive to His voice, so that when He's ready to page us, like those, the notification the doctor gets, when He's ready to send that notification, are we ready to actually turn? Because He might have said 100 kilometers straight, but are we ready to really discern His voice, so that at the most crucial time, if He actually says turn left, we actually turn left or right, just like Abraham, when he was about to sacrifice Isaac, I mean, just at the point of going straight, you know, there's a lamb that appeared, Christ, God said, yeah, like, don't do it. Look, there's a stray lamb. That's the one you need to offer as sacrifice. Can you imagine what a tragedy it would have been if he was not sensitive to God and to God's voice? Yeah, I think this is the best example because there was calamity arrived at that time. He was going to sacrifice his own son, so he was also not in the very right state. But spiritually, he was in the right state because he was listening to God and he was discerning his voice. At the right time when God spoke, he was able to see the lamb and stop sacrificing his son. So, lastly, as you drive 100 kilometers or 10, are you sensitive to his voice? As you wait for that thing you're waiting for, are you sensitive to his voice when he's telling you, like, shift or do this or this and this, will you still hear him? So are you able also to turn off the noises, the complaining, people's criticism, because then he's able to direct us where the ram is, just like Abraham. And then just like David was lamenting. He was, everything. He did everything. But then he's the same one that God's praises were always in his lips. He said, your praises will always be on my lips. So even though he was lamenting, 1 second later he was praising. Maybe even 1 second before the lamenting, he was praising. So let us cultivate a culture of praise, 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 praise. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, praise. It's just gratitude and being content. Like, God, I thank you for this season. I might not know what you're doing, but I trust you that it's good for me because your promises are good for me. You have good plans for me, not to harm me, but plans that are good for my future. So you might be asking God, where's the beauty? Is this broken heart a part of your plan? Is this ashes also a part of your plan? Are the dry bones in my life a part of your plan? You said you'll give me beauty for ashes. His response is, here, let go of your ashes and take my beauty. You have to really let go of your ashes and give it to him. Because sometimes we're too busy glorifying those ashes. Oh, my ashes, oh, my ashes, oh, my ashes. He's like, no, look up, child, give it to me. Stretch your hands and give them to me. So our problem is our mouth, actually. The problem is our mouth, that we, just like James 3:6, our tongue set the course of your ship. The ship are the things that we confess, all the negativity and all the closed doors. So I just want to leave you with that. And for me, what I took from it when I was having this was, all the high profile interviews I had may have not yielded the results that I wanted or I hoped for. But later back, when I look back, I thank God for the chance to meet the people that I met, and later moved from becoming, because those people later just moved from becoming my network, they moved to become now my network, all the CEOs that I met and all this high profile, I didn't burn that bridge. I kept their contacts and I now use them for my job. So that is something that you can look back and see that even though that thing did not work out, there's still something that has come out of it. So and just that was an encouragement. I hope in your waiting season that you'll keep on trusting in him, because I just don't know how to say it, but he is doing something. He's doing so many things, and we just have to be actively waiting, being still, but also being eyes wide open, discerning, but also hearing and seeing what is actually happening in this season. Have a good day and see you in the next one. Bye bye.